What's up, guys? In this video I'm going to teach you quad chimneys and other ascending quad patterns. So ascending quads and quad zigs. So on screen I have quad chimneys. They look very similar to trip chimneys, and a lot of things that I explain in this video are going to be very similar to what I explained in my ascending patterns tutorial for trips. Once you learn all these patterns for trips, quads become a little easier because in a sense you've already gone through the learning process, and it's a lot of the same. You're doing a lot of the same things. There's just an extra finger added. So on screen I have these quad chimneys from the song Resurrection, and you can find these in the section Sweeps and Quad Chimneys right there. And to get to them, we'll just be going past these zigs and stopping right there. And we're going to set an A position right at 115. So these quad chimneys are pretty fast. So these you're going to have to slow down even more than you would normally slow down a pattern. But these are very good to learn on because there's a lot of different types. As you can see, they get a little different. And you get a little experience recognizing patterns. There's actually a couple of quints at the end there. We're just going to forget about those. But so before you start doing these, all of these patterns share the same fretting motion of rolling these three fingers over 3 frets. It's very similar to the trip motion where you're rolling these 2 fingers, but instead you're waiting for your pinky as well. And to practice this, we're going to do it on chimneys. And I'm going to slow it down very slow to 10. We're going to be tapping a single fret, which in this case is the blue, and then doing our motion of the zigs. Basically, a chimney is one single alt tap and then half of a zig. And here we go. This is what it's going to look like. In this case, we're pressing down red, keeping red down, then yellow, keeping yellow down, and then hitting blue, then lifting off of blue, and then lifting off of yellow, and then off of red. And as you can see here, it changes a little bit, but we're just going to want to focus on what the single note is, and then we should be very easily recognizing what our fretting motion will be. So now see, it stays here at orange. And the only thing that changes here is that you got to stretch your pinky finger a little more. And reach for that orange note. And now it goes back to the second pattern here. And we're going to forget about these at the end. I'm going to set a B position at 122. Those are quints, and that will be for another day. So again, the motion, essentially, is placing down the red, or the first fret, then placing down the second fret, because it won't always be these colors, then tapping the fourth one, okay, just tapping it, and then lifting off of the other 2. Just like this. So we're going to speed it up to 30. where you can see it a little faster. And while you're doing this, a tip that I would have for recognizing what quad chimneys are, because they are tough at times when they start changing all over the place, is, like I said in previous videos, don't worry about the anchored note. Just focus on what is not the anchored note, essentially. So don't look at green here at all. What we're looking at is the single note. So find what the single note will be that you're tapping, which in this case is the blue. And then the notes in between are going to be our zig motion. And in this case, you can see would be the red to the blue and then back. And after these, it becomes the same thing, but just 1 fret higher. So not worrying about the greens. It's literally the same thing. Here it becomes a little more difficult, because now you can see our single note is the orange, and then the 5 notes in between stretch a little bit. They skip the blue. So we would be doing our motion over these 3 frets, but it's the same thing. And then I believe after this it just goes back to the second pattern. Yep. So here we go. Slow it down as much as you need to learn the motion. At this point, you should have the tapping motion down, since it's only a single alt tap. It's just a 1-finger tap. And if you can do trip chimneys, then you should be able to learn these a little bit easier. And you should have some experience recognizing chimneys. Alright, I'm going to speed it up to 60 now. I'm actually going to speed it up to 60. Okay. Now we'll go up to 75. And now we'll do full speed. I wouldn't expect that you'll be able to do full speed for quite some time, but obviously practice quad chimneys wherever you can. Don't just practice them on Resurrection, because they are very fast. And it says right in the section title, actually, they're 34.6 notes per second. And so that's quad chimneys, guys. Now we're going to clear A and B, and we're going to learn quad zigs. So right here, I'm going to go ahead and I miss it again. Okay. I'm going to set the A position right after the first 3 notes so that we're starting right on a zig. Okay. So, for quad zigs now, we're using the same fretting motion that we did for chimneys, but now we're going to try to duplicate that with our tapping hand. So essentially we're doing the same motion as we're doing with our fretting hand. Oops, hit red there by accident. Now, this is one of the most key motions that you'll ever learn in this game, would be the tapping motion for quad zigs. When you see people spamming, they're spamming quads, more than likely. They're spamming this motion. And as much as I would not like to admit it, this motion will get you through a lot of sticky situations if you find yourself mixed up. And essentially, this is just really one of the most key motions you're ever going to learn. And it'll be one of the toughest for you to learn, too. Doing the ascending motion for quads is extremely hard. And I wouldn't expect that you'll learn it for probably weeks after trying to do it. So don't get stressed out if you can't do it right off the bat, because this motion actually, it probably took me years to really get down. I mean, it just so does not feel right when you're trying to learn it. But you just gotta keep trying it. Keep slowing it down as much as you need to, all the sections that you're going to try it on. Eventually, you will be able to do it fast enough to where you'll be able to use it. And it's the same thing as we're doing with our fretting hand. We're placing down, in this case, the red, then the yellow, then the blue, and then we're lifting off. And now we're going to do it. I have this on 10% speed. If you need to go down to 5, by all means, go ahead and do it. And now I'm just going to go ahead and set a B position here. We're just going to practice these for now. I'm not going to worry about showing you guys other instances that you'll have of this where, you know, the motion may be going over red, yellow, and orange or something like that. I'm just going to show you the standard quad zigs, because once you get this motion down, you'll be able to figure it out for yourself. It's really just this motion that you have to learn. Now, I know I said it took me a year to learn, but obviously that doesn't mean it'll take you a year to learn as well. You may get it a lot faster than I did. But I can say quad zigs and quints as well, but quints are just something else for another day. Are really one of the most key and widely recognized as the toughest technique to use, or is quad zigs, or zigs in general. Alright, so we're going to speed it up a little bit to 30. It's a little tough for me to do at this angle, but I will do it so you guys can see it a little closer. Gonna speed it up to 50 now. Ooh. I missed myself. Like I said, it is a little tough for me to do it at this angle. And the same rule applies, or not the same rule, but the same technique applies as you would do for descending quads, as I explained. Is the way that you should have your fingers is the most comfortable way for you to have them would most likely be your index finger straight out and then your other two fingers curled just a bit. It'll fit the best that way. Alright, so I'm going to go up to 75 now. And we'll go up to full speed. And one more time. Alright, so that is quad zigs. Now we're going to use the same technique and apply it to ascending quads. So to make things simple, I'm going to go back to Misadventure, which I used to explain descending quads, and I'm just going to go ahead and put it on mirror mode. So right here in the modifiers is mirror mode, and now we're ready to go. So we're going to go to chilled C, and here are our ascending quads. And I'm going to set the B position right there. So we're slowing it down to 10% speed again. And we're doing the exact same motion here. The only thing that's different between ascending quads and quad zigs is that the zig motion, in a sense, does not complete. So if you were going, you could technically make these ascending quad zigs by just adding a yellow red in between each of them, and they would become zigs. So doing the same motion of placing down the fingers like this, red first, then yellow, then blue. We don't have to exaggerate so much the pulling off of these because we don't have to complete the zig, but essentially you're doing the same exact motion. Okay, and we're going to speed it up to 30. And 50. One more time. And we're going to go up to 75. And we're going to go full speed. Okay, now, something I forgot to mention in the last video of descending quads, and something you should know is that the way you recognize quads in a song, or at least the way that I do, whether they're descending or ascending, and this is forgetting about chimneys or zigzags, is just find all you're doing is looking at the individual bars of 4 notes, nothing else. I mean, that's the way that I recognize it. I just see that there's 4 notes coming at me in a line. That's how I know. They're ascending quads or descending quads. I'll look at which direction they're going, and it's 4 notes, so there we go. But, so those are some ascending quad patterns. I hope this video helps you out in learning them. Again, I can't stress this enough. Slow it down as much as you need to exaggerate doing the correct motions instead of just playing it at full speed, hitting the buttons, not realizing what you're doing wrong. Use the techniques that I told you, slow it down and learn the methods correctly, and then speed it up when you feel comfortable in doing so. So, thank you for watching this video. Have a good day.